All right. Everyone enjoy lunch? Let's give it up for Sodexo, huh? All right, so our first keynote we have today, we have Radha Agrawal. She's a social entrepreneur and is the co-founder and partner of Thinks, the taboo-breaking, period-proof underwear that is making waves around the world and is named one of the top inventions of 2016 by Time magazine. She holds several patents for her underwear technology. She is currently CEO and co-founder of early morning dance phenomenon Daybreaker. Daybreaker is in 17 cities around the world and is redefining what it means to dance, sweat, and connect without alcohol or judgment in the morning in over 350,000 community members worldwide and growing rapidly. Both her businesses generate millions of dollars in revenue, and she attributes her entire success to community building. She is currently writing her first book titled Belong that unpacks everything you need to know about building a community for your life and business. Her book is set to come out in the spring of 2018. She is also an international DJ with her twin sister Mickey under the name Me Too, Me Too. She has played all over the world. Radha received the Tribeca Disruptive Innovation Award and was named by MTV as one of 8 women who will change the world. Oh, and she hates pantsuits and is passionate about helping women see their feminine power and teach men how to interact with women in business. Please welcome Radha Agrawal.
If you close your eyes, does it almost feel like nothing changed at all? And if you close your eyes, does it almost feel like you've been here before?
Hi guys, can everyone hear me okay? All right, so first of all, I'm gonna do an Instagram story with everyone. Let's just start with that. Are you guys good with that? All right. So all I want to hear from everyone is I love you as loud as you possibly can, because it'll make me feel better being up here. Is that cool? All right, so on 3, hold on, 1, 2, hold on one second, how do I do this? What? Oh, technology, guys. Hold on, okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3. And that's how we do it. All right. Publish, send, here we go. So, before I get started on my entrepreneurial journey, I'd love everyone to actually get to know each other, because actually my talk is about community. It's about community building, and how at the backbone of any business, you have to build a community first. So let's get to know each other. So those schools that just came in who don't know each other, I want everyone to stand up, hug your neighbor, hug them, introduce yourself, and then we'll come back to our seats. There you go. I want you to walk away today with one new friend. Today you need to walk away with one new friend. Very, very important. Isn't that better? I love it. This is great. This is great. We're making new friends. All right, so now that you've made new friends, we can talk about community. The backbone of any business, as we all know, is community, right? What we call on the inside of a business is culture. On the outside of a business is called customers, right? Customers and culture. These are the 2 things that define a business, and yet we often forget that humans are the ones that power all of it. So let me start by sharing 3 staggering facts that honestly kept me up at night and continues to keep me up at night, and is actually the backbone of my book, Belong. Staggering fact number 1, 1 in 4 Americans report 0 friends to confide in, and that number has tripled in the last 30 years. 1 in 4 Americans. With all this technological advancements, we are lonelier and more isolated than ever. Isn't that crazy? Also, having weak social ties is as harmful to your physical health as being an alcoholic, and twice as harmful as obesity. Let me say that again. Having weak social ties, having poor community, is as harmful to your physical health as being an alcoholic and twice as harmful as obesity. And yet so often with business, we're thinking about grow, sell, power, money, fame, right? We're not actually thinking about how am I gonna build a community? How am I gonna define and develop relationships that actually matter to me, right? Who here has struggled with that, with making friends at one point in their lives? And who here has struggled with feeling belonging at one point in their life? Come on, raise your hands all the way high, 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 right? Every single person in this room has felt that, and yet we project confidence and we project all these things, right? But 42% of college kids, basically one in two kids in this room is currently on antidepressants, and yet we don't talk about it. We medicate ourselves instead. And so part of what I want to share today in my entrepreneurial journey is actually, it's about community. And my successes with every one of my businesses are directly attributable to how I built the community my community on the inside and on the outside, right? Because community, again, if you're not taking care of it on the inside, building culture inside, taking care of your customers on the outside, they're not gonna be there in a few years, right? Does that make sense? All right, so let's get back to it. Let me rewind a little bit. That's me at graduation, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, like you guys are all gonna be in the next year or so, or 2 years. I went to Cornell University. There's my twin sister and I at graduation, and both of us became investment bankers on Wall Street 1 month before 9/11. I'm dating myself. 1 month before 9/11. I moved to New York City and became an analyst on Wall Street. I trained in the towers. And it just so happened that a week before I moved to my new office in Midtown. And then 9/11 happened. And from that moment on, I knew that the mystery of life is that you never know when it's gonna end, right? And it's time to pursue your passions right now. And so for me, that moment was an aha moment, a real, really exciting opportunity. Of course, also a tragedy at the time, but again, a moment that just basically woke me up. So I decided to go into entrepreneurship. I decided to try my luck in this crazy world of business. So my sister and I did what we thought would be the best, most innovative business in New York City. We opened up a pizzeria. We opened up a pizzeria in New York City. But it was not just any kind of pizzeria. It was a gluten-free, farm-to-table, lactose-free option pizzeria, because we learned that 1 in 4 Americans report having lactose intolerance. And that was actually becoming an increasing problem, and there was no pizzeria in New York City that offered this as an option. So we were like, all right, well, we don't try that out. So we went and raised money, begged, borrowed, and stole from all kinds of friends and family, and finally raised the money that we needed. Again, we don't come from anything. My dad's an aeronautics and aerospace engineer, the only breadwinner of the family. So we had to really go and figure it out on our own. So we went out and beat down every door and finally got our first $25,000 check. I'll never forget that day. But again, that moment for me, again, was a realization that you can do anything you want if you have a community supporting you, if you have a community that you actually nurture. So I realized that the friends that ended up helping me out were mentors, were friends that I had nurtured, were friends that I called when I was in trouble, who called me when they felt something was going on too. So that actually was a really big moment for me. So there's Mickey and I at the restaurant. We were the pizza twins. Before we decided to go on to our next entrepreneurial journey. But the restaurant really was our first community center, right? It was our first community center. We gathered our friends, gathered community, people came there, we had engagements at our restaurants. It was our first foray in this world of, like community builds business. That's a thing, right? Brands are no longer hiring community managers out of college to do social media, right? Think about it, how many companies are hiring just simple community managers, young college graduates to do social media? That's not actually a thing, right? So we realized that this is actually an opportunity to really teach people what community building actually is. So from the restaurants, which we now have 3 in New York City, actually. We still have them all over New York. We have 1 in Manhattan, 2 in Brooklyn. You guys are all welcome to come anytime you want. They're now 11 years old. We were 25 when we opened up our first ones. And This lesson was a really big one that never go into the food business. It's really difficult. It's not easy. But it was also just that, again, how can we actually support our community? How can we actually build something that's going to serve each other? I think everyone in this room, who wants to go into law or banking or finance? Or is everyone here interested in entrepreneurship? So raise your hand if you're interested in doing the corporate side of the world. Full hand. I want to see the full hand. Not just, okay, all right, that's cool. And who wants to build their own business? Awesome. Okay, great. So I think there's a lot of connections that can happen today from those who want to help those who want to build businesses. But from the restaurant, I realized that children would come into the restaurant and they would order just plain cheese pizza, no green stuff, right? You know how kids are, plain cheese pizza, no green stuff. And as an experiment, I designed this children's menu with these superpowered superhero characters called the Super Sprouts. So Brian Broccoli is super strong because broccoli is good for your bones, and Colby Carrot is super sight because carrots are good for your eyes, and Erica Eggplant is super smart because eggplant's a brain food, right? Create all these funny, silly characters. And kids would come in, they'd color in this really ridiculous sort of children's menu, but they would run to the counter to order vegetables for their pizzas. And parents would watch this happen over and over again. They came up to me like, what happened? My kid hates vegetables. What's going on here? How can this be happening? And I began noticing this over 6 months. And then the analyst in me kicked in. So I audited the industry, realized, wow, Sesame Street teaches about literacy. Captain Planet teaches about the environment. But who's teaching our kids about food? So again, I went back and I sort of begged, borrowed, and stole from my community, and I raised a seed round to start Super Sprouts. And then after that, I ended up raising $5.5 million for it over the course of a few years. And we really had such an incredible response. And I think I should rather show this to you instead of tell you what it is. So let's hit it.
Eat healthy, feel great.
Colby Carrot is one of the members of a group called the Super Sprouts.
We've got a very fun, exciting live show that we present to all the students here in the New York City area, and we're taking that live show actually on a big national tour.
Day number 3, on the road. We're touring America, by the way.
There was like a vegetable explosion. It was awesome.
Erica Eggplant was amazing.
Colby Carrot is my favorite.
Brian Broccoli is super strong.
Brian, my man!
This is what's going to put us on and get people excited about what we're doing.
If they learn to eat healthy young, they'll keep those patterns throughout their life.
I love broccoli because I saw dancing broccoli.
You know, rethinking vegetables, rethinking healthy eating, making it fun and cool.
To get people to listen and pay attention, you've got to interact with them.
You Super Sprouts, you are so cool.
If we can actually inspire families and kids to develop their palate in a way that's going to pay dividends for the rest of their lives, then we've done our job.
This is what it's all about. We have to give better food to our kids, and we have to market it and brand it and make it fun and enjoyable.
Cool, huh? But this is actually another lesson for me on community building, on the inside. So a great lesson that I learned that I'll take with me the rest of my life was I actually raised money from misaligned investors. And while it was exciting, it was $5 million, holy crap, you know? It's in my pocket, I get to do stuff with it. It was the wrong money. And even if we were reaching 1 million kids all around the country, all around the world, we were about to sign a TV show. I had a whole product development line ready to go. But on the inside, we were miserable, we were suffering. I would be in these boardroom meetings, literally, this happened 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. I'd be in a boardroom meeting, I'm the CEO and founder of the company, And I was in there with 3 men in suits, and they said to me, Radha, you stay here. Boys, let's go outside and talk business. This happened to me 2 years ago. Someone's like, right, can you believe that? 2 years ago, this happened to me, right? And so that moment, again, I realized after I sat there in humiliated silence as they left the room, and I didn't know what to do or what to say. I just sat there, and I said, I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe I'm a victim of this kind of sexism. That's messed up. And when I confronted my main investor about it, and I said, hey, what was that? And he said, he didn't even realize it, you guys. He didn't even realize. He was like, oh, I didn't realize. I thought that, I don't know, like, you're a creative. I'm like, no, I'm the CEO of the company. So there's a lot of re-education that's happening right now in how women and men are doing business with one another, and how we treat each other, how we respect women in business is something that I hope that every single person in this room remembers on their way out the door today. Is how do I'd be in another meeting with my co-founder in another company, and if it was anything creatively related, they would look at me and ask me questions, and as soon as it was about time to talk about numbers and sort of negotiation, they would look at him, and then he would look at me. He's like, Radha, what do you? My partner would look at me and be like, Radha, what do you think? And I'd be like, well, let me tell you, I think it should be this, right? And so I just want to share that today because all of you are so young. There's such a machismo and excitement and charisma in this room, right? A lot of firm handshakes that I'm seeing. But I think that what's really, really important here today to remember is to really learn how to actually connect with one another as human beings, right? And how to respect each other in the setting of a business. So this was a very upsetting thing that happened to me on my entrepreneurial journey, and one that I often would cry on stage talking about, actually. But it's now been 1.5 years, and I can tell. But every business is your baby. Every single business this was 5 years of my life. 5 years of my life went into this. And I had to walk away because of our internal suffering, because of our internal strife. It's a real thing, you guys, real thing. I'd had to throw that up there. It's me and Shaq, no big deal. So then, on to the next project. As my sister and I were running around, building the restaurants, building Super Sprouts, and running all over the city, all over the country, raising money, just like building, hiring, firing, all the things that entrepreneurs do. I would have these embarrassing accidents all the time. I'd have to jump out of a boardroom and run out the door, and I'd have to change my tampon, or I'd have to, I'd get up from a subway seat, and there'd be a stain on the subway seat. I'd be in a cab, and it was just an embarrassing experience. Every day, that of course was a taboo topic for so long. Women would be like, I don't want to talk about my period. Oh my God, don't even say that, it's weird, right? And we just wouldn't talk about these things, about our periods and the things that women go through. We not only are building businesses now, but we have to deal with something as natural as your period, and we're not talking about it. So I then looked into the underwear industry, and I realized that, wow, there is actually nothing out there that's been invented since 1960, when the pad with the adhesive strip was invented by a man. So fortunately, we live in a time now where entrepreneurship is, of course, equal. We can do whatever we want. And so my twin sister and I, we launched a new company called Thinks, and we spent 3 years looking for fabrics and designing and developing this product. And again, I want to show you, I don't want to tell you about it. Oh, and we launched it on Kickstarter as well, which again is a community-based project, which you guys know. We raised $65,000 on Kickstarter, and now we're doing about $50 million a year in revenue.
My name is Radha. I'm Antonia. And I'm Nikki. So what we're about to show you has never been seen before and took us 3 years of research and hard work to create.
Now the story is twofold. Check it out.
It all began while wearing a white skirt to a meeting. Let's just say I had to go home and change my clothes. I thought to myself, I can't believe they don't make underwear that's leak and stain resistant. And wouldn't it be great if they did? Like many of you, we're active girls. We work hard, play hard, go out, have fun. Sometimes you forget when a certain time is coming, or we're not prepared when a time is here. Instead of fun, it's embarrassing moments, anxiety, or ruined clothes. We looked at the marketplace for a solution and nothing existed. We realized that these retailers or any of these underwear brands don't think of you every day of the month, every month of the year. Instead, they give you underwear that is either way too flimsy and unsupportive, much too see-through to hold anything but your behind, or way too much coverage that it actually gets ridiculous. I mean, do they really expect us to wear this? Aren't we smarter than this by now? So we put our heads together, decided that it was time for a more thoughtful pair of underwear, a pair that thought of us and acted as backup even when we weren't thinking. We're calling it Thinks. We spent almost 3 years creating a technologically advanced, leak and stain resistant pair of underwear, a pair that is comfortable, breathable, beautiful, and that keeps us safe every day of the year. We work with leading fabric creators to find the most advanced blends. Not only are the fabrics soft and durable, with quality construction, we also use new technologies to make the fabric antimicrobial and moisture wicking, keeping you protected and dry at all times. For lace, we went to a manufacturer who works with the top performing players in the women's underwear market, making the most comfortable and unique laces in the world. For design, we tirelessly worked on the best fit and style for whatever type of coverage and comfort you need at whatever stage of your life. We're happy to say that this underwear is now ready for you, and women are loving it.
But the story doesn't end here. We love to travel, went to India, went to Africa, met a young girl named Amale on a weekday. Asked her, "Why aren't you in school?" She said, "It's my week of shame." We found out that she misses almost 1 week of school every single month, simply because she doesn't have the right resources. She uses things she couldn't find, like sticks, leaves, mud, dirty rags. We found out that more than 67 million women and girls in Africa alone face the same problem. Millions more around the world drop out because they get so far behind. To help girls like Amale, we partner with AfroPads, an organization based in Uganda that makes washable, reusable cloth pads at an affordable price. For every pair of underwear you buy, 7 reusable cloth pads will be produced for one woman, giving her the supplies she needs. And rather than giving them away, we are helping this movement grow, creating jobs for local women who make these pads, which helps women work and girls attend school, giving them a chance to be successful, elevating their life and their community. So come be part of this story. Give yourself the most thoughtful pair of underwear that not only thinks of you, but for women and girls around the world.
So, as you can see, I care about social issues. The first is obesity and eradicating childhood obesity in this country. The second is around women's, sort of breaking these taboo topics. And actually what we realize is in developing this product, right, in creating a product like underwear, which I'm wearing right now. Usually I flash the audience, but I'm not going to today. But in doing this project, I realized that we were actually bringing together millions of girls who are now saying, wait a minute, I've been embarrassed about it too. Wait a minute, I've been hiding about this too. Wait a minute. And all of a sudden we're banding together and learning about all the things that we were too afraid to talk about before, right? Miscarriage is one thing. My sister is 5.5 months pregnant, my twin sister right now. And we started talking about it from day one, instead of saying, waiting for the customary 3 months, because if you miscarry, then what, right? Why do we do that to ourselves? Why don't we just talk about it right from the beginning? Why don't we just talk to each other more, right? Another issue that we began looking at is the fact that 20 billion tampon applicators end up in a landfill every year. 20 billion tampon applicators end up in a landfill every single year. That's crazy town, right? So we developed and designed a really, really cool new product, which is a reusable tampon applicator that's silicone-based, that lives in your wallet. It looks like a beautiful lipstick case, and you can just wash it, pop the tampon in, and then there it goes. And then you can wash it and put it right back into your wallet for reuse over and over again. And this kind of innovation, again, is something that we need as women in the developed world, right? And also something that we need in the developing country. We forget that 100 million girls around the world miss up to 1 week of school every single month because of their periods. Did any of you guys know that? I mean, because we don't think about, oh yeah, wait, what do they use? Sticks, mud, dirty rags, plastic bags to stop their blood. I mean, what are they gonna do? So this is our opportunity as humans to think about everyone, all of us, not just each other, and how we're gonna shake hands and be cliquey and like, I'm not gonna let that person in and be cool because that person's not cool and not part of my club. It's like, let's talk about all of each other. Let's invite everybody in together. There's no cliques here, right? There are no cliques here. This is a safe space for everyone to be like, I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to come to you and talk about entrepreneurship. I don't care if I'm not cool, if I'm ugly, if I'm fat, if I'm small. They should feel safe coming to any one of you guys and feeling like they can build something. Is that true? Is that the kind of experience I feel like is being fostered here? Yes, right? And I feel that already. I really feel that. Anyways, back off my soapbox. The next project that I'm currently working on now, so my twin sister Mickey now she's the CEO of Thinks. She runs that full time, and she's straight crushing it. I love her. And so, again, in the process of building a business, we like to have fun, right? I mean, I feel like everyone here has talked about fun and the importance of fun. But there's a lot of seriousness around that. Let's have fun. You know what I mean? Like, let's not forget to have fun. But let's actually have fun, right? Let's not take ourselves too seriously. We're in these weird meat suits. Like, all these are meat suits. We're in these like human, unicorn-like meat suits for about 100 years, maybe less. And we have like holes all over our bodies. Like, it's like we're these weird things, right? Like, let's have fun and not take ourselves so freaking seriously. You know what I mean? There's like such a gravity, like, am I dancing okay? Do I look okay? Am I, so I'm gonna drink and booze and do drugs so I feel better about myself, right? So that's what we do to each other and ourselves. Like, why do we do that? So Daybreaker, I started with my good friend Matt in New York City because we were so sick of going out to nightclubs, because I'd go out every weekend to let my hair down after building my great businesses, and I'd want to let my hair down and dance, just want to break it down. Where's the music, DJ? Right? And everywhere I'd go, there'd be a mean bouncer being like, let me see your ID. Like, you can come in. Are you buying a bottle? What do you, right? And then you go out at night and everyone's on their cell phones. No one's actually talking. Everyone's wearing these uncomfortable stiletto heels and they're like, I can't actually dance, right? And so we're just doing this to ourselves, like, but why? So my good friend and I were like, well, let's start another little social experiment. Let's actually see if people will be down to wake up at 6 a.m., right, and dance sober before going to work. Has anyone heard of Daybreaker before? Has anyone heard about Daybreaker before? Okay, great, awesome. Like a smattering of people, amazing. New customers, awesome. But I realized that people were ready for it. So the experiment happened December 10th, 2013. Show of hands, who likes dancing? I mean, right? Like, everyone here likes dancing. But yet, where do you guys dance at night? Shout out where you dance at night. Your room, anywhere. Okay, is there typically a drink in your hand? Are you guys typically inebriated? Yes or no? Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Do you think that you can let go of your judgment and like get down on the dance floor without alcohol? Yes, the answer is yes, and yet we judge ourselves and drink instead so that we can feel better about ourselves. So again, Daybreaker we launched as a social experiment, an art project, right, to see if people will be down to break it down at 6 a.m. before going to the office with glitter on their face, right? And so we launched this on December 10th, 2013. And again, community is my backbone. Each one of these projects were supported by my personal community that I've nurtured for years and years and years, who have then become my customers. And then they've told their friends have told their friends. Daybreaker started because I invited 300 of my friends in New York City, right, of which 180 showed up. 180 people decided to wake up at 6 a.m. to support me. And that's 90% of community building, is showing up for each other. Showing up for each other fully, not on your cell phone, not being like at dinner or lunch where your phone's next to your table and you're like checking it as soon as it buzzes. Like, be fully present, right? Like, that's community, that's friendship, that's showing up for each other, right? Put your phones away, So 180 of my friends showed up for me on December 10th, 2013, first snowfall in New York City. And from that day on, we grew from 180 people. In the last 2.5, 3 years, we're now at 350,000 community members in 17 cities around the world. We're in Hong Kong, we're in Shanghai, we're in Paris, London, Montreal, Toronto, all over the world, all over the US, of community members who are sick of going to nightclubs, who want to wake up and just dance and connect authentically and just get weird and get back to our fun and our play and our childlike selves that we try to mask with these fancy ties and these suits, So I'm going to share this video of our last boat party in New York. Everyone's sober, notice. 1,100 people came out at 6 a.m. At 6 a.m. So actually, fun update, we're launching Campus by Daybreaker. And who would want Daybreaker on your campus here at Bryant University? Yeah? All right, cool. So, again, we realized in our research that that 1 in 5 women are victims of sexual assault on campus, that 42% of college kids are anxious or depressed, that there isn't a place for kids to connect and really get into dancing and hang out with each other. So we're launching in schools all across America this fall. We'd love Brian to be one of them. So invite us. So again, I want to get back to this staggering facts because I think it's a really important thing to walk away with from today, is this idea of inclusivity, this idea of community, this idea of connecting with one another in a way that's actually authentic and loving, right? I always call, in my book, I have a chapter that's about what's in your backpack. You know, like imagine, close your eyes, and imagine every single person in this room is wearing an imaginary backpack, right? And in that backpack is their entire life history. Their loves, their breakups, their family, their divorced parents, every moment in their life is in that little imaginary backpack, right? And if you just imagine that every single person in the room had a little backpack on with their history in it, you would have so much more love for one another. You'd want to get to know each other better. You wouldn't just be judging each other by the cover. You'd say, hey, each person here has a history that I want to get to know, right? And that level of inclusivity is something that will actually make all of this isolation, this depression, this anxiety, we would no longer need to medicate ourselves because we'd be living in a place of inclusivity and love. So that's a big part of what I want you guys to walk away with today, is just inclusivity, community, authenticity. And then the second thing is actually how the mechanics of building all of my businesses, right? The mechanics of building how much time do I have left, by the way? Am I good? All right. Thank you. The mechanics of building community, there's actually, it's an art for sure, but there's also a bit of a science behind it as well, right? So every single one of my businesses across the board, whether it was Super Sprouts, Thinks, Daybreaker, Wild, my restaurants, they're all sort of inhabited under this sort of method that I created called the crawl method. And the first thing to remember is that community is built patiently. You crawl, right? You don't run, you crawl. It's not something like, I want everyone here to be my friend. It's like, hey, I want to have a dinner party with this table, and I want a dinner party with this table. And then let's get to know each other little by little, one by one, get to know what's in each person's backpack, right? What's in your backpack? So I call it the crawl method. And this to me is actually the principles behind community building. If you want to build any business at all, this is it. So the step one is define your constraints, your core community, and your core values. So what are our constraints at Daybreaker? Our constraints at Daybreaker are that it's in the morning, so it weeds out some people. It's sober, it weeds out even more people. And it's a 3-hour experience. So unlike nightlife where you're going out and it's like a 7-hour experience and I missed you and you're going in and out of a nightclub or whatever, everyone's 3-hour experience is the same. So the arc of our story that we're building for each person is the same, right? And so defining your constraints in community building. So for you at CEO, it's okay, great. It's people interested in entrepreneurship, leadership, this kind of thing, right? These are your constraints. Second is defining your core values. That's very, very, very important. Before you start any business whatsoever, build your core values. So our core values at Daybreaker are wellness. We're about sweating, right? You can burn up to 1,000 calories at Daybreaker. We're about camaraderie, getting to know each other, right? Getting to know each other, making new friends. We're about self-expression. We have people come and dressed in all kinds of ridiculous costumes without any judgment. Like I said, you get to go to the office with a little glitter on your face. That's pretty cool, Then we've got mindfulness, which is all about being here now, and then mischief. So these 5 core values really defined every partnership, every sponsorship, every single partner that we bring into Daybreaker, we look through the lens of our core values. Does that make sense? And then our core community. Sorry, teachers, but I call it fuck yeah friends. You want to surround yourself with fuck yeah friends. You don't want friends who are going to be like, sure, I'll go. You don't have friends who are going to be like, whatever. I hate the word yep, Y-E-P. Why? It's the same number of letters as yes. Why do we write yep? I don't get that. It just feels so like, yep, Nope, you know what I mean? It's the same thing. It's like, if we can surround ourselves with fuck yeah friends are gonna be like, yes, I'll do that, I'll go there. Like all my friends are FYFs, you know? So that's an important part of community building. It's just like picking the FYFs, right? Okay, the R in ritual, I'll go quickly here, but the R in crawl is ritual, defining our rituals. At Daybreaker, what we did was at the end of every Daybreaker, we have an intention reading at the end. So I was gonna actually bring cards for everyone, but I didn't realize there's 400 people, so I have 100 cards over there. But anyways, but we read these intentions together as a community out loud. So we hand out these really cool cards, and we read them out loud together as a community. So like, what are the rituals at CEO? Do you guys have a march? Do you guys have a song? Do you have a show? What are the rituals that you've defined, right? That make people want to participate and be a part of it. Rituals is the backbone of community building because people are participating, right? They're participating. When you participate in something, you feel more invested in it. So I always say, don't take a class, participate in a class. Right? Don't just be like, I'm taking a class, like I'm taking this class, I'm taking that class, and then I sleep through, who cares? But if you're participating in a class, now you feel a real energy exchange. Now I'm a part of this class, I'm participating in it. That's an important thing to think about. It's a very big distinction between taking and participating. Is that resonating with everyone? Great. Aesthetics. So aesthetics are key, right? Like we live in a time where everything's filtered and everything is like, we take so much care in how we look, feel, and act. And of course, like while let's get rid of the perfectionism and judgment on one side, let's also consider aesthetics for our community, for our group. So what does your logo look like? Have you done a logo case study around other CEO logos around? Have you guys looked at other organizations that are doing cool things in this space that you can like learn from in the space of aesthetics? Why did you choose your colors for CEO? Why did you choose your font for CEO? Why did you choose your language, right? So these are all things that we have to consider when you're building a community. With Daybreaker, with Thinks, we're surgical. We are surgical about how we pick colors, how we pick fonts, how we tell our story, what type of person we want to sort of envision as our sort of typical case person, right? Like we don't think about that enough as a business. Like, welcome to my real estate firm where we do this kind of business. It's like, that's boring, right? What is your, how do you tell your story? How are you really visioning what your aesthetics, what your look is? The W in crawl is why. Why are you doing this? Why are you building CEO? Why do you guys care? Why is this community different from any other community, right? Why are you doing this? Why does this matter to you? And why do you care every day for the next 4 years while you're in college, right? Lastly, it's language. This to me is actually the most important thing of all. At Daybreaker, I always say to my team, I'm like, we toggle between intellectual humor and millennial emojis, right? And because we work in between those two worlds, we're able to really tell our story in a way that's fun, that takes into consideration today's culture, but is also funny and very intellectual humor, right? And language is so key. With Thinks, for example, it's such a taboo topic. We could have been like, buy this underwear and get rid of the pain points of your life. Instead, we're like, seriously, guys, like, what's up with the taboo? And when we talk like that, we have conversations with people, right? Language is so key. So, all this to say, takeaway number 1 is, guys, there's nothing more important than taking care of you first before you go out and try to build businesses and shake Kevin Harrington's hand and be like, invest in my company and look inside first and ask yourself, am I happy? Am I being supported by my community? Do my friends make me feel insecure? Or do my friends make me feel stoked about everything? As a club, am I being inclusive of everyone? Or am I being cliquey and just hanging out with like the bros who are my friends, right? Like what type of culture are you building here? And what type of community do you want to foster as leaders? So that's something that's very, very important. That belonging is something that we don't think about enough. And it's the backbone of our happiness and our health, of both our individual self and our company. My business fails if my community fails. If I'm not happy personally, I burn out, right? So just remember that. Take the time to put your computer down when you're like, nah, I'm too busy working. Just sometimes take the time to be like, you know what? I'm gonna have this dinner with my friend because it's important to my happiness. I'm gonna go do that. You know, I'm going to go and take the time to get to know someone because this person matters to me, right? That's super, super important to remember. And then takeaway number 2, remember the crawl method. You know, community is defined by these 5 ideas, and I really hope that you take that with you. And I hope you guys come and dance with us and that we bring it to Bryant University. So thank you guys for having me today. I think we're gonna...
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Radha.
Thank you. Are we doing some Q&A for 5 minutes or so?
Yeah, we have time for 2 quick questions because we're a little behind. So,
sorry, guys.
Anyone have a couple quick questions that they've been taking copious notes on their bulletins? Any questions for us?
When you wake up in the morning, what's your biggest motivator?
Sorry?
When you wake up in the morning, what's your biggest motivation?
Well, man, well, first of all, I throw on 2 songs and I dance in my living room. I shit you not, I do that every day. But I think that's, it's this idea that if you can align mind, body, and spirit, I actually like skip and run to work every day. I love it so much. I genuinely do. I run to work. I can't wait to get there. My team last night while I was here, they were at the office until 11 o'clock last night without me being there. And they were doing a workout session in the office, like doing like a circuit training, right? And so that's what gets me out of bed every morning. This idea that I've actually taken the time to build internal culture. It's taken me many years to figure it out. I definitely screwed it up many times. I definitely created a culture of fear for a long time. You know, I definitely erred on the side of, oh, I'd rather them be afraid of me than like me, right? And that was actually a big mistake. So now I've become much more, I've taken on the role of much more of a mentor-teacher role. And when someone screws up, it's not like they're scared. They're like, hey, how can I do better next time? And so that type of stuff, in the morning, I think about that, and I do a gratitude meditation. I think about things I'm grateful for, the sun, my sheets, like whatever, right? I think we don't do that enough. We're so busy looking forward, and like in this 24-hour world of news cycles, right? And 24-hour news cycle that we live in, that we don't actually take the time to reflect on what we're grateful for and what we should be pumped about in our life that we're currently doing well, right? So I do that first, and then I'm like, all right, how can I kick the day's ass? Does that answer your question? Yeah. So gratitude, dancing, and thinking about your community that you're bringing your energy to. That's what I think about.
Cool. Do we have one more quick question out there?
For a young entrepreneur or someone who's looking to start their own business, what advice would you give to them before they make the leap?
Learn as much as you can. Become an expert in the business. You know, the number of entrepreneurs who've come up to me to have meetings, coffee meetings, and who don't know what they're talking about is pretty astounding. So they're like, I'm really interested in this business. And I'm like, all right, tell me. I'm like, I know a little bit about it. Like, tell me about this thing. And they're like, oh, I never heard of it. Be an expert in the business. Get to know it inside and out before you call yourself an entrepreneur. I think so often we're so eager to be an entrepreneur that we don't actually know what we're talking about. You know what I mean? So step 1 is become an expert in that field. Really do your research, really dig around, really know if your idea is new and different, or it's not, or it's just a t-shirt company that you're trying to print something new on it, right? So really think about what it is that you're doing, do the research, and then if you become that expert, then you can talk to any investor and like, wow, that guy knows what he's talking about. Like, that's awesome. So that's step 1 is intern, learn, and become an expert. Fair? Cool.
All right. Thank you guys. One more time.
Thank you guys. Thank you very much.